Hello and welcome to the Camazotz guide for jungle and solo lane. This guide will be split into 3 sections. The first section will be on building, the second section will be on his passive abilities, basic attack chain and ability upgrade order, and the third section will be on fighting, combos and general mechanical tips and tricks with him. To note, Camazotz can be played in both the jungle and solo lane. He's actually one of the best solo laners right now. As you can tell, there is some background music. I thought I'd try something a bit different with this video. But let's get straight on to the building. So, in jungle, we'll start off with that first. You go Assassin's Blessing, obviously another mod you can swap for Attacker's Blessing, and then I like to start Tier 1 Mace. The patch has just gone live actually, so this is slightly cheaper. This means that you can pick up a healing potion and Hand of the Gods if you want. Or you could opt for, say, a healing potion, a mana potion, then another healing potion, or swap the mana potion out for a multi-potion. I would probably suggest Hand of the Gods though, as Camazotz has a lot of sustain in his kit, as we'll get onto, so he doesn't really need it. In terms of the relics, I was just going Blink and Beads. I get Blink first most of the time, however if you think that CC is going to be an exceptional sort of hindrance to you, then you can pick up Beads. After this start, on my first pack I try to get a Warrior Tabby. Then I will finish this Mace into either the Crusher or Brawler's Beatstick. Obviously Brawler's Beatstick if you need anti-healing, but most of the time I would go with the Crusher, all of his abilities will proc this. Then after that I like to go Transcendence for the Power Spike, even though it did get sort of a slight nerf as you only get the 10% cooldown reduction after you fully evolved it, it still gives you the most power of any physical item. Then after that I like to go into Arendite, increase your power, cooldown reduction, and your ult is pretty good for proccing this as well and using it. Then I like to get a Hatseeker, good on all ability based gods, especially assassins, with you building sort of full power here. And then finish off Assassin's Blessing for Bloodforge. This is sort of a ton of power, so when you sell Warrior Tabby, you can pick up sort of the Elixir Speed obviously, and then I like to get something either with a lot more power or penetration. So something like a Titan's Bane can be a good pickup if you want to start killing tanks. Maybe if you picked up the Brawlers earlier, you can opt for a Crusher here, that's a fantastic option. Or you could opt into something like a Masamune, if you just want the power, movement speed, and a slight bit of tankiness, but still keeping that power there. And those are sort of the main items I would suggest picking up. You could go Hydra's Lament if you wanted that full cooldown reduction, because remember you only have 20% here. So if you were to get a Hydra's Lament, this would give you sort of 30% plus the power potion, 40%. However, he doesn't really use auto attack cancels all that much in his kit. He's more of a long range poke type of assassin. So you might not get that much use out of it. And you also can go Jotun's Wrath if you want the full cooldown reduction, with some extra penetration. However, most of the time you won't want to go that Titan's Bane or a Masamune, something like that. Or Crusher is the better option. And then we'll get onto his solo lane build. Just sell all of these. Oops. So in solo lane, there's sort of 3 different starts you can go. The first start, which is one that I go most of the time, is Warrior's Blessing. There's actually 2 starts in this. One is getting Warrior's Blessing and Tier 1 boots, and then a Chalice of Healing. And then obviously Teleport is going to be our first relic in solo lane on all these. This is sort of a pretty standard build, and then you want to get an early back as soon as you get 1100 gold to finish off your Warrior Tabby. You can also opt for the Round Shield start, which is Warrior's Blessing plus Round Shield, and then get 3 healing potions. This is another fantastic start on him. You would want to back when you have 1050 gold to finish off that Gladiator Shield. And then the third option, but also sort of the riskier option, is you go into T2 Transcendence and get, say, like 3 healing and 3 multi-potions. You won't need a Chalice of Healing with this, because once you finish your Transcendence, you'll have a ton of sustain. So you'd obviously want to back when you have 1400 gold to get that Transcendence online and start stacking it. And this build, I will just say that you obviously go Warrior Tabby there, and then you'd want to go like a Caduceus Shield here, And then sort of the build, as I'll show with, I'll go back to the other start, the like sort of the more common start, if you will. So Warrior's Blessing, Warrior Tabby, then Gladiator Shield if you didn't get that. If the Transcendent start, you don't get Gladiator Shield. Then Caduceus Shield. So this is sort of the standard starting few items for him. Then Hide of the Urchin here. Into Heartseeker, this will give you sort of a ton of damage. And then this Warrior's Blessing. Then you can sort of start to pick up a few more sort of situational items. Personally, I'll like, oh shit, messed up there. That is supposed to be Warrior's Blessing. Then Transcendence. Oh, yeah, Transcendence. Then Hide of the Urchin. Because by the point you get Hide of the Urchin, you'll start rotating a lot more and getting into a lot more fights. And you will sort of stack the passive of Hide of the Urchin. Then you sell Warrior's Blessing for Heartseeker. And then, once you can sell boots, you obviously do that. Your second relic, pretty much all the time, is going to be Blink. Then you can sell Warrior Tabby for a few different items. Personally, I like selling it for Runic Shield. Because he does well sort of with all this scaling, especially with Heartseeker. So giving him more power will help. And then late game, like really late game, you can sell Gladiator Shield. Something like the Crusher. Again, all of his abilities proc. Or if you need some anti-healing, Brawler's Beat Stick here is fine as well. And that is it for the building section for Camazotz. Now we'll go on to the passive abilities and basic attack chain. So, Camazotz's sort of passive is Essence Drinker. Camazotz has a passive Essence Drinker bonus for physical lifesteal and healing. Also, anytime a god dies, they leave behind a pool of their essence in the spot they were slain. Camazotz may stand inside these pools to drink the essence every 0.5 seconds, replenishing his health and mana. So I'll just sort of build a full damage build here just to demonstrate what this would look like. Something like this. Brawlers up. Go on. So I'll just kill this Rabot just to show you. I'm pretty sure he should drop the pool. I'll just auto him to death. So as you can see this pool here, if I stand inside it, you can see my health is going back up, and it will also replenish your mana. And then obviously it disappears once you've used sort of the maximum amount from that pool. And that is his passive. His basic attack chain here is 111. So remember that's damage in swing time, so the number that you see 1.6 here is what you're getting. However, the third hit hits all enemies in the melee area. So it's like a cleave auto attack, an AoE auto attack. We'll just sort of show you. Obviously, basic attacks hitting on target, and then the third one hits both. Might be able to hit all three here. Yeah, you can hit all three there. So it does sort of like sort of semicircle in front of you, in your basic attack range for the third hit. And this is very good for clearing the wave. Then we'll get on to Camazotz's first ability, Screech. Camazotz screeches loudly and launches a sound wave that pierces through minions and deals damage. If Screech hits an enemy god, the sound wave will echo. If Camazotz is hit by an echo, he gains vision of the god that was hit by the Screech for 15 seconds and gains bonus physical power for the duration. So as you can see, if I just sort of throw this out anywhere, see it's like a circle that just fires. I'll also go into the reduce cooldown here. Oops. So as you can see, it's sort of a circle that just fires out. If I were to hit an enemy god with it, you can see it'll deal damage, and then these sort of things, these circles echo. They can actually bounce off walls as well. As you can see, if I get hit by it, I get the buff, which increases my physical power. So I'll just sort of demonstrate it again. I'm going to try and sort of get hit by one of those circles that bounces off. It's quite easy to just like get hit by one because one bounces straight back at you. Then his 2 vampire bats. Camazotz commands a swarm of bats to fly out and attack a single target, damaging and slowing them by 30% for 3 seconds, then carrying back a heal. If their target was a buff holder, oracle, or alpha harpy, they will be marked, and Camazotz will receive a heal as well as a stackable vampirism buff that lasts 300 seconds. Marked monsters will not provide Camazotz with another stack of vampirism or an additional heal. So, just to demonstrate what it's like on a god, so you just fire out, it fires sort of a swarm of bats. If I were to hit an enemy god, you can see, ticks on them, and then eventually after 3 seconds, that green bat flies towards me and heals me. I'll demonstrate what it looks like on a buff camp when you stack it. Just want a red buff here. And if I were to hit it on them, you can see this shows that they're marked, and then I get that back. Then as you can see, I've got a buff for 300 seconds, increased physical, lifesteal, and healing received. Now if I were to stack it again, you can see I've got 2 stacks, and it also increases the timer back up to 300 seconds. And then again, the final time, 3rd stack. If I were to do it again, as you can see, it just replenishes the sort of duration. It won't stack it further past 3. And that's Camazotz's 2. Camazotz's 3rd ability, Devour. Camazotz leaps forward for a short distance, dealing damage on impact and healing himself per enemy hit. As you can see, it's just a standard sort of leap. And it has the same duration time no matter sort of where you place it. If you obviously place it closer to yourself, it'll still sort of leap for a while. And it can be good for sort of immuning certain abilities. And if I were to land on him, I would get a heal. You saw that green thing there. If I were to have taken damage, I would heal up. And remember, it's per enemy, so if there are a bunch of minions, you'll obviously heal for a lot. Then his 4th ability, Bat Out of Hell. Camazotz flies into the air for the next 4 seconds. While flying, he may swoop forward to deal additional damage. He may do this up to 3 times, landing on the 3rd time. Hitting more than 1 enemy god in a single swoop will deal increased damage per god. So, if I were to just sort of hit this Odin bot, I'd obviously deal that 270. However, if I were to hit multiple gods, obviously as you can see, the more gods hit, the more damage it deals to the final one. I think it went up to sort of like the 300s there. I'll just demonstrate that again so it's clearer to see. Sell my Rendai and Crusher, just so this is easier to see. So as you can see, 1 god getting hit deals 139, then multiple deals about 227. I think that's what it said. Not too sure, but you get the idea. Now onto his upgrade order. So at level 1, you're going to want to get your 2. This both applies to solo lane and jungle. In jungle, you're sort of going to want to hit this on the middle, sort of in the middle monster in the speed buff to get 1 stack of vampirism. And then again on the blue buff, you'll leave sort of the first 3 camps with 2 stacks of vampirism. However, in solo lane, you're going to want to try and stack your 2 off of the blue camp. The first one that your jungler will drop, you've got to hope that he knows what Camazotz's abilities are and waits for you to apply your 2 to it. And then on the sort of second respawn, you can get another stack of vampirism, and if you're ahead, you can obviously invade and get a 3rd stack. Remember, this duration is 300 seconds. The blue buff will respawn every 2 minutes or 120 seconds. So there will actually be 2 blue buff spawns in sort of the 300 seconds duration. So you'll have plenty of time to get a stack of this and keep it sort of up. Then at level 2, you're going to get your 1. Then keep maxing your 2, get your 3 at level 4. You can get it earlier if you do need it. And then your ult finally. And then the upgrade order is sort of max the 2 first, then max the 1. Put a point into your ult whenever you can. Obviously just keep upgrading your 1, put a point into your ult. with your 3. Again, another point into your ult. And you sort of, so you're maxing your 3 kind of last. And that is it for Camazotz's passive abilities and basic attack chain. We'll now go on to fighting combos and general mechanical tips and tricks. So, as I said earlier, be sure to stack the 2 and keep it stacked. This vampirism buff, you want to keep it stacked. If you see it's getting low, or even if you're just clearing camps, just apply the 2 to them and just replenish the duration. The sort of bonus lifesteal and healing will help you sustain against a lot of damage. A tip for using your 1 and 2, obviously these are long ranged abilities. The 1 does have a slightly longer range than the 2, however most of the time you're going to want to actually use your 1 before your 2. Now, why is this? Because remember, your 1 gives increased physical power, 40 here, and your 2, this is sort of a calculation percentage, if you will, of your current physical power. I think it's like 120% or something like that. So obviously if you increase your physical power by 40, you're getting that added on top of this, which will then increase that number, so your 2 deals more damage. As you can see, my 2 initially does 455. However, if I were to hit him with that, 496. As you can see, deals extra damage. Most of the time you're going to want to engage with Blink, especially if you're a jungler. If you're a solo laner, you can engage with your 3 if you want, because obviously you're a lot more tanky, you can take a lot more damage. But most of the time you're going to want to do a Blink initiation. So you would want to do something like Blink, auto attack maybe 1, auto attack 2. But that's if you're sort of going in for the kill on somebody. However, remember, your abilities are long range. You can just poke somebody out. You can just out-poke people and say it like the auto attack sort of range. So he's very good for sort of out-poking hunters as well. Obviously, the hunter auto attack range is about 55 units. If you just throw your sort of 1 out at sort of the max range, they aren't hitting you, but you're still hitting them. And you can just sort of briefly go into the range just to fire your 2. And you'll only ever take like 1 auto attack if the hunter is really on the ball. A good idea for when you're fighting in lane, I just spawned some minions in here. Just increase the game time as well. So they are a bit more tanky. Don't know if that will just kill them yet, will. Just sort of sell these. Have to respawn them. And if you say taking a lot of damage, you know, you can try and group up the minions as best you can, but you'll always sort of be able to hit 3 like this and heal up. Remember to use your cleave auto attacks on the wave, because you can hit 3 at the same time, and that's sort of optimal like sort of use to get clear on Camazotz. He doesn't have the best clear in the world, however he sort of has the best sort of fighting and sustaining the solo lane, which can often be more important. And when you have your 2 at level 1, you aren't going to have any clear pretty much at all apart from your basic attacks. Your ult in fights, generally you can either use this to chase or escape if your 3 is down. You can also do the same thing. For the 3, it can be a good idea to jump on multiple enemies and to get that heal up, or to jump away. You can also chase with it, maybe finish somebody off with the 3. And the same sort of applies to the ult, however most of the time you will want to use it ult aggressively to get the damage off on people. You do not move like very fast in your ult, you actually move quite slowly. If you are using it to escape, don't just sort of sit in the air like this, just use it as quickly as you can to do the swoops and get distance between you and the enemy. And again, remember, this long range poke is super important to his playstyle. And in solo lane as well, again, this poke still applies. He can out-sustain pretty much any solo lane apart from, say, maybe a Gladiator Shield King Arthur. Just because obviously he can proc that 6 times. and even 7 times if you count his ult. But Camazotz can almost pretty much match that. And I'll just sort of give you a little demonstration to finish off the video of how much damage he can do late game with sort of a full build. On my rollers. Let's say you have by this point, you know, red potion. So as you can see, the 1 does quite a bit of damage, and 2 will do a ton of damage, and then you can even just finish them off with the jump. I'll just show it again quickly. Dead.
Killing spree.
And that is pretty much it for the Camazotz guide for jungle and solo lane. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learnt something, and thanks for watching.